They don't offer the AI features yet in China. Does the Apple Intelligence exist? Yes. The AI features and all that, does it exist? Yes. On the 16th anyway. But why isn't it available in China just yet? So let's talk about what's going on with Apple stock. As we know, it's been taking a beating in the past 2 trading days in the first couple of days in the new year, and that is not great. Apple is one of those stocks that a lot of retail investors hold. Why? Because we all love Apple. We love the phones, the watches, the laptops, and so much more. Whether it's the entertainment side of it, whether it's the subscription part of it as well, where you just want more data storage and you just pay this money that you don't even think about to keep your photos and videos on the internet forever, right? And it's one of those stocks also that we know that they hold a lot of money. And them taking a beating now at the beginning of 2025 due to the sales of Apple's phones being slightly lower in China, to be specific. Competition is fierce and a lot of things are really going on. So let's just talk about it, and I'm going to share my own opinion. So the stock closed on the 31st of 2024, December 2024, at the price of around $250 per share, and it dropped on the 2nd. When market opened, it dropped and closed let's see, around $246, and then it's just sold off since then. We're now trading at around $243 dollars, and this is why it's really spooking a lot of people, especially if you are one of the people that owns Apple. Apple, like I said, is one of the money-making stocks that a lot of people hold. So what is going on with it? Let me share something with you here. If I could bring this up. All right, the shares. So what happened to Apple? Shares of iPhone and iPad maker Apple fell 3.2% in the afternoon sessions after UBS cut its iPhone sales estimate for Q4 2024 revenue to fall about 5% on the iPhone itself year on year, below consensus expectations. Separately, there are reports that Apple will be offering discounts to customers in China from January 4th to 7th, 2025. Amid heightened competition. Now, the question I want to ask you is, how many times have you heard this, especially about Apple? Now, Apple is one of those stocks that makes the news often. That's because a lot of people own them. They're worth a lot. It's part of the Mark 7. And just so much going on with Apple. And a lot of news often cause the stock itself to be volatile. So, for example, when Warren Buffett sold some of his holdings in Apple, that caused the market, the Apple stocks to fall. And this is not a new thing. There's so many times they've always projected Apple sales going down, but the stocks keeps going up over time. Yes, there might be that short-term drop or sell-off in the stock, but over time the stock continues to go up. And why is that? Let me play a video for you real quick. This video will open your eyes to see the possibilities of why Apple keeps going up.
But I'll say this, if you think about the things that I got wrong last year, and clearly there were many, but passive investing, you don't realize the magnitude until you start to see the numbers. And $1 trillion made their way into ETFs and mutual funds last year, which was a record. Apple wins to this. There are 487 ETFs, 410 of which Apple's one of the top 15 holdings. So as long as money flows in, Apple will almost by definition go higher. But that doesn't mean valuation makes any sense. And Bonawyn just spoke to that. I mean, you're talking about a company that was a growth company 9-10 years ago. It was trading at a ridiculously cheap valuation. It was trading in the low teens. Now that it's become sort of a value stock, it's trading north of 30 times next year's numbers with EPS growth maybe at 12%, 8% revenue growth. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So they win in this environment, but be careful if it flips. And that's one of my biggest concerns of 25.
So just in case you missed that aspect of what this guy said, and I think you should focus on that area. If you want to rewind it, you can rewind this video. But he said 487 ETFs exist, right? And 410 of those ETFs, Apple is top 15% holding of these ETFs. So top 15% of those ETFs is Apple. And what that means is that if you look at most of the ETFs that are out there, Apple is generally somewhere at the top 15% of the audience of these ETFs. So the point here is a lot of money will continue to flow into Apple stocks unless these ETFs decide to change their percentages of holdings. And what does this mean? If you're new to this, what does this really mean? Let me show you an example. So if you look at the SPY ETF, all right, the SPY, this is one of those ETFs that you can always get into if you are, worried about investing in single companies because of volatility that you could experience. With an ETF, you hold a series of different stocks, or a bunch of stocks actually. So for example, the SPY ETF, as you can see, this is the distribution and how the money that goes into the ETFs is invested, okay? This particular ETF in particular, okay? So for example, in the SPY, Apple is 7%, okay? So these are the top 10 holdings for the SPY ETF. And Apple is number one. 7% of the money that goes in here, or 7% of the money in here, is invested in Apple, followed by Nvidia, and it goes on like that. Let me show you another example. This is another good example. This is VTI ETF, the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund ETF, VTI. And by the way, if you want to do this yourself, you can easily just go to Yahoo Finance, put in the stock or put in the ETF or the index fund, go to the holdings section, and you can pull it up. And as you can see, this is top 10 holdings for this particular ETF, VTI. It currently sells at $293. And you can see Apple is again number one at 5.8%. Let me pull up another one just in case you are doubting what is going on here. So I intentionally put up this particular one. This is VGI, Vanguard Dividend Appreciation Index Fund ETF, VIG. Now, this is a dividend type of ETF. If you're the type of person that wants to be getting good dividend paying companies, you can buy this ETF. Again, it's a group of companies that you can get into and you consistently get dividends every quarter. So like this particular one, as you can see, top 10 holdings again, Apple is number one at 4.76%. So what does this mean? This means that Apple is in a lot of these ETFs, and money will continue to flow into Apple unless they decide to change the distribution of Apple or the percentages, right? If they move it to maybe 1% or something like that, then that's not good. And that would mean that Apple stocks will sell off rapidly. But if that's not the case, if that's not going to happen, which I don't think will happen anytime soon anyway, I see Apple going back up. Now, what does this mean for you if you're holding Apple? In my opinion, I am still holding Apple. Why? Because I believe in what they have, what they do, and in the future of Apple. Of course, there's always the risk that, well, it could go down temporarily. And in fact, there could be more bad news ahead of us, right? We don't know that. But here's also something that I want you to keep in mind. When you're looking at this particular situation of Apple, you would ask yourself, or you should ask yourself, why is it really a big problem? Well, like we said, competition is one. And then they're offering some discounts, which is generally not a good sign. If a company is lowering its price, it means that they're trying to drive up sales. We get that. But why is that actually happening? Why? I always ask that 5 whys in a way. Why is that actually happening? Until you get to the bottom of it. And I think I found at least one of the reasons. And I want to share with you. So this is from investors.com. And the highlighted grab of the text there says, Huawei's Mate 70 smartphone has grabbed market share thanks to its artificial intelligence features. Meanwhile, Apple's iPhones don't offer AI features yet in China. Yet, and that's the word I want to put in, keep in mind. They don't offer the AI features yet in China. Does the Apple Intelligence exist? Yes. The AI features and all that, does it exist? Yes. On the 16th anyway. But why isn't it available in China just yet? It says it here. Apple is hoping to partner with local internet services firms such as Tencent and ByteDance to offer AI features in China. So if Apple can partner with ByteDance or the other company that was mentioned, which was Tencent, okay, if they can partner with them, then Apple will be able to drive up its sales naturally without having to do discounts. And if they even offer discount, by the way, the discount is temporary between 4th to 7th, right? So if they can strike a deal with Tencent or or ByteDance, then you would see sales naturally go up. For most part, as long as the main reason why Huawei's phone is being sold more than the Apple phone is the artificial intelligence features. So again, back to the bottom line is, if we know that these are the reasons why Apple stocks are selling off, and we know that this is likely going to be a temporary dip in the market, what should we be thinking of? Well, you should be thinking of maybe holding or maybe buying. But again, valuations are higher, like they're saying. Okay, so those are true. But we are looking at Apple as a long-term hold. Okay, long-term hold. The fact that this company has a lot of products that were well integrated together will mean that they will continue to dominate this sector in the technology space. Now, unless something changes, like I said, there's always the risk of losing money in investing. So always do your own due diligence and do what you can to put your money in safe funds. But remember, if it's really safe, that means that you won't make much money, or money is not even being invested, because if you put your money in savings accounts, then there's nothing really in return for you. But when you invest in stocks, then you can stand a chance of gaining 20% like the SPY did last year or 2 years ago. So the point here is, there's always the risk that it's go down, but you always have to take the chance, because that's the only way your money can grow for you. If you found value in this one, please don't forget to drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'd love to see you in the next one.